Hi all! The announcement of Conan Exiles' next age has raised a couple of questions and concerns in the community. And since not everything could be answered in the recent developer stream, Funcom has just shared the first Q&A for Chapter 1 of Age of Heroes. Let's have a look at which questions have been answered and if there are reasons to be worried about some of the new changes, especially regarding crafter Thralls and how the living settlement will work. What's the release date for the new age? It was confirmed that the launch will be in October for all platforms, and we hope that means a simultaneous release. Will the headhunters stay in the next age? As expected, bounty hunters will be removed with Chapter 1. We presume that this also means we'll see new event mid-chapter, as Funcom have said that they plan for regular mid-chapter updates and temporary recurring events. What's the goal for public beta testing? It seems like Funcom wants to reset expectations in regards to their public beta here, saying that feedback and bug reports are especially valuable to plan future hotfixes, tweaks or balancing. It also seems like a justification as to why we often haven't seen important fixes making it into the live build, even when the concerns were raised early. While game dev is certainly not easy and some bugs simply need more time to be fixed, we would have wished that longer beta periods would result in less buggy updates. Maybe they will, but it feels like they want to temper expectations with this answer. Will the workers consume items like food and other resources from my base? So crafter Thralls will effectively roleplay and not consume resources, and that's confirmed. However, they can still be given consumables like any other followers if needed. The one thing we are still confused about is the Thrall pot. Due to current reports, it might not work for everyone, so does it now work again, and if so, reliably? Seeing their answer, we do have to presume yes, but we guess we'll only find out once we can test it ourselves. Will guards continue guarding or will they wander around like workers? Archers, fighters and performers will stay put and continue emoting as you set them. Only workers will have needs and act on them. Well, good, that makes sense, at least to us. Will workers be able to use elevators, open doors and gates? So, they say crafters won't be able to use elevators, but they can use doors and gates if they need to go somewhere specific to fulfill their needs, like taking a break, sleeping and so on. We do see this as a bit of a problem. Will they let your enemies in PvP, or is there a way to lock doors? Does that mean they will wander out the main gate and get killed? And some might wonder about stairs, as we presume they're able to use at least within their allowed radius. Anything else would really surprise us. Well, a bit more extensive answer would probably have been needed here. What happens to thralls stored in chests and fridges? Workers that are stored in chests or fridges before the update will remain stored until you place them in the world. Once placed, they cannot be itemized again or stored away, equal to the current system for fighters, archers and performers. So this definitely makes sense, of course, but moving bases will for sure get a little bit less convenient than before, as you effectively would have to move all your, presumably quite weak crafter Thralls from one location to another. Well, thank Chrome that we at least have the down but not out system. Do we need to place one Thrall per station? So the short answer is no. A single place crafter will be able to cover multiple workstations as long as within 50 meters of it, which is just above 19 foundations. Are crafter Thralls that are set to follow affected by the down but not out rules? The answer is yes, they work the same as all other followers regarding the down but not out system. Players usually trade and gift Thralls to others while they are still itemized. Will this still be possible? This is yet another yes, as long as you haven't placed the Thrall that has been converted in a Wheel of Pain yet, you can still trade or gift them as items. Will the Thrall Cap change with the update? Now, this is a bit of an odd one. Here they are talking about the possibility that the follower cap could be reduced. And from everything that was said in the dev stream, we actually thought they were evaluating if the cap should be increased. After all, unlike before, crafters will now count towards the limit starting with Chapter 1. So if anything, there would be a need for a higher and not a lower cap. So this is not very good news for official servers if so. What will happen to existing followers if workers exceed the Thrall Cap on official servers? You won't be able to place workers that exceed the follower cap. When the update goes live, all crafted thralls will still be inventory items that will need to be placed onto the world, which will obey the existing follower caps. Well, if you were close or at your limit before the update, I guess some hard choices will have to be made. We suggest firing up your Yogg altar and prepare to make sacrifices. That said, hopefully you won't have to. Could we limit where workers go or have off-limits places in our bases? Crafted thralls will wander to fulfill their needs up to 50 meters from their workstations. They wouldn't need to wander away and access other rooms in your base if they have a campfire, bed and seating locations near their stations. Building and decorating with this in mind can help you limit access, such as with the tavern patrons. So while this sounds reasonable in theory, as that's just about 19 foundations, we might have to change how we decorate quite a bit to have things in range of crafting areas. And of course, the question is still if it really will work all as intended, which also leads to the next question. Can we control which beds, chairs and other placeables we would like for them to use? The short answer is no, and we honestly really dislike this. We often use things that functions for instance as seating as decoration, and this means followers will now uncontrollably use anything as seating, like tavern patrons. You'd think the optimal solution would be to allow some toggles as to allow us to block items and areas we want to keep off limits. Could we set up specific behavior for workers? Do this, stay here, emote. Their need will prevail over any player's command. Emoting isn't removed, but since followers override it almost immediately, they effectively can't do it. At glance this seems fine, because your base will feel immersive without the need for emotes. But what if you would have liked it a little bit calmer, or a follower to pretend to do something specific? It really would have been nice with some control over behaviors and to set their focus, but presumably that's not a critical point for most. Is there any particular reason why we want workers to be able to fight? Funcom says they want crafters to act the same as regular followers, so they are immersive NPCs in your base. Since they will be out in the open like other followers, we guess it makes sense that they have the chance to defend themselves. The question for us is if that really will work that way, or if it ends up being a hassle to constantly revive downed crafters. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Is the Living Settlements feature moddable? Yes, all the parameters are moddable. You could create new needs, new objects that fulfill the needs, and new behaviors. Everything is there for you to play with and create new awesome features for your mod. Now that's good news, and we like to hear it. Now to companions. Does the Sorcerer use spells? So they didn't want to spoil this one, so we'll have to wait for the public beta to find out, but it sounds like a yes though. Can multiple people do the quest for one NPC simultaneously in a clan? Yes, each player character will have their own progression through the quests and can restart them to recruit more companions as soon as they're over with the previous one. Will there be more companions in the future? Yes, more companions will be added over time, and as we previously stated, we expect at least 2 per chapter. Can I have more than one companion at the same time? It seems we can have as many of the same companion as our hearts desire. Now, while we find that a bit strange, as they're being promoted as unique heroes, we will for sure raise an army of Freyas. Are companions more powerful than other followers? They have unique and new perks, but their power is balanced with existing followers. Well, since they are named, one would presume they are at least comparable with half-decent tier 4 followers. But since not every tier 4 follower is equally good, we would have liked to know a little bit more about the balancing here. If my companion dies, will I have to go through the quests again? Yes, their quests are repeatable, and depending on your actions, they might get different perks each time. Will companions be added to the Isle of Siptah? No, they are specific to the Exiles map, and their quests and voice lines are heavily based on locations and details from the original map. No, that's a shame, but it wouldn't have to be if they would enable server transfers again. Did you hear that, Funcom? Now to cages in the Exiles. Will the cages in Exilelands be accompanied by Jailors as well? Yes, you can find them around the areas where cages are present and fight them for the keys. Are the cages going to be adjusted so that we get a better selection of thralls, including tier 4 in those cages? And if so, will this change also apply to Siptah? Funcom has updated the pool of thralls that are available in cages, and you can now also get crafters and barkeepers, with luck of course. At least there's an alternative to purchase for barkeepers now, as you were literally forced to do them before if you wanted one. And in regards to the tier 4 thralls from cages, nothing has changed and they are still as rare to get as before. And all this applies to Siptah as well. Now that's all for this Q&A. We are sure you have a lot more questions and we'd love to hear from you in the comments. And as always, if you like what we do, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe.